Right, so there's another by-election in the offing, folks. So we just don't seem to have any shortage of them at the moment, do we? And no, I'm not talking about the Rutherglen and Hamilton one that you might have heard about that's expected in October at some point, the date for that not yet set, but I'm sure to cover that in due course. No, right now the campaign action is happening at a more local level, but it's still very much worth covering because it has knock-on effects for the rest of the country, and particularly because it's in the heart of the reddest city in the country, Liverpool, an area Labour ought to always be expected to win in. But where under Keir Starmer the party has been beset with self-inflicted problems through candidate impositions, as we've seen all across the country, diktats being meted out, as we've seen all across the country in the Labour Party. And it's reached a head in Liverpool when a Tory budget was to be passed and Labour-run Liverpool City Council were ordering their councillors to vote for it, vote for a Tory budget, or else. Well, vote for a Tory budget. It led to a split in the Labour group. I can't imagine why. Several Labour councillors were expelled from the party over their dissent. Of course, they're not going to vote through a Tory budget. They weren't voted in for that. And they were booted out for refusing to vote through this Tory-imposed budget, forming what is today the Liverpool Community Independent Group. Come the recent local elections this year, Labour ended up losing 3 of their seats, safe seats, as all seats in Liverpool are to them, to these independents. Labour got a pasting, and they're now at this moment in time fearing they're going to lose a 4th seat to this independent group, and for good reason. The seat in question this time is Fazackerley East, a seat that has seen more than its fair share of by-elections, to be fair. Not every Labour councillor who broke the Labour whip over that budget chose to join the new Liverpool Community Independent Group. One, Lindsay Melia, resigned as a councillor full stop, stepped out of the local politics completely, triggered a Fazackerley by-election, which was then won by Labour's candidate, the right-winger Frazer Lake. Now, Lake stood again in a new seat because boundaries were changed. It became Fazackerley East, as it is now, and he stood against Liverpool Community Independent candidate Alfie Hincks. And he did hold the seat in this year's local elections, calling himself Mr Fazackerley East, no less. And yet, within 3 months, he's quit to take another job, which I'll come on to in a moment. First, there's a bit of context that's worth adding in here. Lake is a Labour right-winger, for one. For two, he was Deputy Mayor of Liverpool, no less. Nothing quite says standing for the people of Liverpool quite like lasting 3 months, even at that high level in local politics, and then swanning off the minute you get a better offer. Crucially to Lake's past, though, is that aside from being Deputy Mayor, he was also holder of the Cabinet Brief for Children's Services. Under his tenure there, as Liverpool Community Independent Councillor Alan Gibbons has put it, the issue for which Lake will be remembered is his time as Cabinet Member for Children's Social Care. A damning Ofsted report has judged the department inadequate and that children were at risk of being harmed or at risk of harm. At an emergency full council meeting, Councillor Liz Mackinson proposed, and I seconded a motion about that crisis. Lake's speech in the debate raised eyebrows. In a reprise of rapper Shaggy, he effectively declared that it wasn't me. It was a huge surprise as the scale of problems was never made clear to me. He claimed that he was blocked from receiving information and pointed the finger at the now departed Children's Services Director Steve Reddy and CEO Tony Reeves, which surprised many of us on the opposition benches who had witnessed Lake's warm words about both. The circumstances of Lake's departure are as opaque as the circumstances of his relationships with Reddy and Reeves. According to his account, he applied for a union job a year ago and only got confirmation recently. If this account is accurate, then we must conclude Lake's commitment to the people of Fazackerley was as shallow as his support for Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party. Gibbons raises great points there, because the better offer Lake got was indeed from a trade union. And if he did apply for that job over a year ago, he hardly stood for election with much intent to see his term through. If he got the job he was after, so it came to pass, it would seem. Lake ditches Fazackerley, or the people of Fazackerley, in just 3 months. So what is the job, and which trade union is it then? Well, Lake, a Labour right-winger, as I've stated already, has been offered a job by Sharon Graham at Unite. Despite his involvement, or lack thereof, depending on how you view his implication in what could only be considered a devastating Ofsted assessment, Graham has hired Lake as a youth officer, although youth obviously can be a fairly relative term. All in all, you can kind of understand how Labour might be a little bit nervous about holding this seat now then, can't you? And their resorting to dirty tricks just shows that, frankly. Liverpool Community Independents are putting a candidate up themselves again, Jean Martin, who is the only candidate who actually lives in Fazackerley. She served the local community there for years, is well known, particularly became well known during the pandemic when she was organising food parcel deliveries. She also, most importantly, perhaps has no intention of disappearing to take up a better job. Compared to the Labour candidate, who by all accounts isn't even active within the local Labour Party, let alone at council level, it's a little bit of an insult from Labour again, who just seem to expect the win for turning up wearing a red rosette. And as another of the Liverpool Community Independent councillors, Sam Gorse, has pointed out to a picture of Labour canvassers on social media, there were no Fazackerley locals there campaigning with Labour. Just Labour councillors whipped to get out and campaign again or else. The Dirty Tricks campaign coming from Labour canvassers, all apparently being rather ageist towards Jean Martin as well. They're campaigning on the doorstep that their candidate is younger, which is a pretty pathetic reason to vote for anybody when you think about it, really. But also when you consider that the term isn't a job for life anyway, although a lot of Labour politicians perhaps think that way. But what they're standing for is a term of just 4 years. It's disgusting, it's discriminatory, and again, it reinforces the evidence that Labour is an absolute sewer these days under Starmer's leadership. It's not cleaning up, it's getting grubbier. Solidarity to the Liverpool Community Independents and the best of luck to Jean Martin. Fazackerley goes to the polls on the 14th of September. Labour isn't learning in Liverpool. It deserves another bloody nose there, and the fact it remains, if Labour can lose in Liverpool, they literally can lose anywhere. And they really need to wake up to that fact and get over themselves a bit. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Do leave a comment and have your say on the conversation too. Are you in Liverpool? Are you watching me from Liverpool? What do you make of Labour's behaviour there? I'd quite like to know. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation where the people of Liverpool show they don't like being taken for granted and taken for fools, as they sent one of Sunak's prison boats packing from their shores recently, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.